Hey everyone, and welcome to Reviews with Ryan. Today I'm going to be doing a audio only review, and the film that I'm going to be talking about is a new horror film coming to the Shudder streaming service called Good Madam. This film will be premiering on July the 14th, and the film is directed by Jenna Cato Bass. I'm not familiar with any of her work. I've seen that she's done quite a different smaller films, but I've never seen any films that she's been involved in. This film has made its rounds around the 2021 Toronto International Festival, and they got a few different awards throughout that festival. The film surprisingly has 12 writers, which is really crazy for a film of this size. I'm not going to go ahead and tell you the actors and actresses in this because I'll definitely butcher the names, but the characters, at least the main characters, you have City, you have Mavis, and you have Winnie in this. And they're really struggling. They have this poverty kind of lifestyle. They're living in this house and doing all these chores for this white woman. They refer to her as White Madam. The film, the synopsis, is an eerie psychological thriller about City, who is forced to move in with her estranged mother, a live-in domestic worker, caring obsessively for her catonic White Madam in the wealthy Cape Town suburbs. But as City tries to heal her family, the specter of Madam begins to stir. So the positives that I had about this film is I felt that the music, it gave an African vibe with the tribe kind of music. And then I also did like the culture with the sculptures in the house. I like the family dynamic, even though that bond between the family, it's not always kumbaya. Like City in this, she's fighting with her brother. And I also did like the camera and how it was focused throughout the entire movie. The lighting is fine. There's never any shaky cam. And the camera used is very clear, and everything filmed wise looks very clear on screen. I also did like some of the particular loud sounds used to amp up the smallest of tension. And I mean really small, because I didn't really feel like it added a ton of tension to me. It didn't really feel that horror-like to me. It was just kind of really big, loud sounds, and it was really to add, I think, more so the hard work of what they're doing throughout the film. And then I also did like how they had different rules, like no running and no touching the fridge. Definitely ask grandma first. Can't go to the pool without an adult. And then most important, never go into Madam's room, as she is the most important, and that is the person they're working for here, even though she's really sick and she doesn't really portray a big role throughout this film, even though that's kind of the centralized plot about this woman. I also had a lot of negatives about this film. I felt that the film was very slow. Almost nothing really remotely horror happens. There's a couple shots that try to spark horror, but I really didn't feel like there was that much tension with those shots. I felt that most of the shots in the house, they're not really that spectacular. The cinematography throughout this film, I don't really think it was that great. I mean, maybe for others, they really like this kind of filming style, but I don't really find it to be that great of filming or any really cool cinematography here. And I really didn't think there was anything scary about this film. There's no jump scares, there's no possession, there's no cults, there's no crazy outcome, no gore, no shock value. Most of it is very flimsy to me. It's not really a really well-developed script to me. I feel like it's way too much of a slow burn, and it's a really basic story. These women, they're in poverty, and I get that the director was probably trying to show that these women that are working for this white woman, they really struggle and they have, you know, a lot of poverty with them, and they're poor and they don't really have a lot, and everything is really riding on this job. But I don't really find that to be really horror-like. I mean, I didn't really feel like with White Madam, because she was sick and always in this room, I never felt that she was a threat or that she was going to really kick them out of the house. I also did not like the forcing of the metaphors in this. I think a lot of the metaphors really have to do with the culture itself, and I think some people, including myself, they're really not going to care for this, and I think also people are really going to have trouble really identifying with this movie, because if you really haven't been in a situation like this, or you don't really know this kind of culture, it's very hard to really know what these women are going through. and at the same time going through these different challenges. Even though it doesn't seem that horror to us, it's more so horror into the aspect of that culture. So I think that is part of the reason why I don't really identify with this film, because I don't know what it's really like. And to me, it's not really horror, but to the women that struggle with this on a daily basis, they have this horror, and us as Americans don't really see this kind of culture, because I can tell you this, I don't really know a lot about African culture or the struggles they go through. So I think that this film was trying to really point into the direction of what these women are going through and putting it into a horror aspect. But in our eyes, and in my eyes, and in some other people's eyes, it's not really a horror film in our eyes because we can't identify. A film that's centering on the word madam, I expected that we see some sort of creepy aspect with that madam, and we never got that. There were a few forced moments towards the end and trying to tie madam in, and I really didn't buy it. I felt this was one of those films that I really just wanted to shut off. I really didn't have a good time with this film at all. I felt a lot of the centralized tensions in this. They would have really loud moments like brushing your teeth and trying to make that creepy somehow. I never felt that to be really creepy, but nothing really else about this film really struck me as something that you need to go out and watch. And I would never watch this film again. I didn't really like it at all. As a score for this film, I would give it a 1.5 out of 5. I feel that this film is very much on par with a film I watched in theaters this year called Umma. I just didn't find it to be really much of a horror film or really have a lot of aspects that really involved horror, and unfortunately it really felt by the wayside, and I just didn't care for the film. But thank you guys for listening to this review. Let me know down in the comments, is this something you're interested in? Are you going to check it out when it drops on Shudder? Let me know down in the comments, what did you think if you do check it out? Thank you guys for listening on this audio review, and I'll see you guys on my next review.